So it's here, S21 Ultra 5G. Now that I have this, I'm going to do my final take on the S20 Ultra. What's the good? What's the bad? What did I think of this phone? Now, just to start, one thing that's always expected is bloatware. And everyone knows this. If you're getting a Samsung, there's going to be a ridiculous amount of bloatware. That's just how it is. And not only did Samsung go with like a different approach here, but they're basically going entirely opposite from how they normally do things. So to touch on that, on the software side, I did give some impressions with the S10 Plus, showing how like I don't consider Samsungs to be Android phones because they're so far off from Android phones. And just like I said in the S10 Plus video, where I was essentially saying that this would be a great alternative to the new Microsoft phone, Samsung has actually gone in that direction. I want to show you something that Samsung changed that basically completely screwed me over. I think I touched on this in the S10 Plus video where I showed that if you go into settings and you go to display and you go to your full screen apps, and then in here there used to be a toggle where you could make like a system wide to have the full screen app, and that gets rid of the entire top bar here. It just adds black to the top right across the camera so that way you don't see it, and it just simulates the corners again. So it just moves the entire thing down and then turns the top of the screen off, which makes watching YouTube videos great because then you have a perfect screen all the way across. I think it's like 19:9 aspect ratio, and considering phones today are now 20:9 all the way to 16:9, that still fits in with a nice aspect ratio and everything. So there's nothing like weird there trying to use the phone. You just have a little bit more bar at the top, but realistically in comparison to like a Pixel or something where they literally have a giant bar at the top, it's still less than a Pixel, still a bigger screen, higher resolution, faster refresh rate because it's 120 hertz refresh rate screen. So that was great. That was literally like the holy grail of having the perfect phone for me. Was I have this giant screen, high refresh rate, everything is good. There's a little bit of like a forehead or whatever at the top, but that was completely tolerable because by comparison to other phones, they're giant, so it's still small in comparison to everything else that's out there. And I really had no issues with that. Then One UI 3.0 came out and they got rid of that, and now I have burn-in across the top because I always had that part of the screen off. So it's going to be really hard to see. So I'm going to try and just crank the brightness here, like all the way up. Let's see if we can actually see it. It's more noticeable like on this side here. No, this camera really isn't picking it up. You can just faintly see it. It's like a lot. It literally goes like it almost touches the bottom of the camera going all the way across. I don't know if the phone's going to be able to pick it up. But anyway, it's a line that literally goes right across the entire top because this whole section right here used to be black, so those pixels were never used. So anytime there was a white screen on the phone, like a browser or watching a video or messaging app or anything like that, it would always display white. And anytime the phone is displaying white, like right now, it is burning the screen. It doesn't matter how long it's on. It's always burning the screen. It's just that if you don't move anything, it'll leave image retention that stays there. So as long as you're still moving the screen and you're never staying on one screen all the time, you're going to be fine and it's never going to have issues, which is why I set my phone up now to rotate light and dark mode because of this issue right here. Is even running the phone in dark mode with the notch hidden or the pinhole camera hidden or whatever they want to call it, it still managed to burn the screen. So dark mode does still burn the screen because there's evidence of it actually happening because the phone was always in dark mode. So what I started doing on this one here was I started alternating light and dark mode. So again, display, light, dark, you can go to dark mode settings and then you can schedule it and then you can just do it sunrise to sunset. So that way during the day it's white, very easy to read outside, and then at night it's dark, so that way it's not blinding you anytime you open your phone. So it's a really good setup. It works really well. And that's essentially how I kept this phone the entire time since I was messing with the One UI 3.0 beta because of that burn-in over there. Right now, if we go back, right here where it says display, or even the clock, or even the battery icon in the corner right here, these rarely ever move. So that's a very good candidate for where it would burn in. And if you're watching a video full screen, those are no longer there. So then that becomes a burnt area where it might become noticeable. Where if you flip to dark mode, those now become white, which means that the white pixels right now are burning into the screen. The black ones are off, so they're not burning. We switch here. Now the white around it is burning, but the black icons are not. So that way, if you rotate back and forth consistently, it'll go from burning icons to burning around it, and then burning icons, burning around it. So it's essentially filling in its own issues every single time. So that's the most stable way to keep the screen, is by having the light and dark mode rotate, just sunrise to sunset, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's the easiest setup. Dark mode settings, schedule, sunrise, sunset, you're done, whatever. Light mode, dark mode. The keyboard switches apps that are set to the system preferences will also mirror this, so then your texting app and everything will switch light, dark mode, everything, so it's seamless across the entire phone. It works really well. So anyways, that was the burn-in with One UI 3.0. That was the only downfall that I found there. But honestly, if you didn't do that, if you didn't have that hidden in One UI 2.0 and 2.5, if you didn't do that, then obviously that's not going to be an issue. So that was a me issue because I did that. But the fact that they removed it kind of sucks. But I just wouldn't have hidden the top like that if I had known they were going to be getting rid of it. The bloatware really isn't that bad. One UI 2.0 was all right. 2.5, they changed a lot of things. They changed what apps were bloatware and which ones weren't, which was really weird. So with One UI 2.5, Netflix, Facebook, Instagram, all of those are preloaded apps. However, for whatever reason, Instagram you can actually delete from the phone. Like, you can uninstall it fully, not disable, fully uninstall Instagram, but it came pre-installed. However, Netflix and Facebook, you can't. You can only disable those ones. So it's like they were finally listening to the community about bloatware and how we want to uninstall them rather than just disabling them. So that way, if we're not using them, we literally don't want them on our phone. It's honestly amazing. I just wish these phones were cheaper, because if they were cheaper, like in competition with like the Pixel or the iPhone or basically anything, because there's nothing that even come close to the price of these phones. Like, these things are over $2,000 Canadian. Like, this phone right now is over $2,000 Canadian to buy it. I pulled up the price. Like, I'm not making this up. Like, that is how absurdly expensive these things are in Canada. $2,300 Canadian. Like, Bell only offers the 128 gigabyte model in Cosmic Gray. That's it. You get one option, and it is $2,300 Canadian plus tax. So there's another 13% on top of that. Like, I got mine on sale for $1,800. On sale. Like, Apple can't touch that in terms of price. These phones are absolutely insane financing them on a plan, because you save $1,100. But even then, that's still $1,200 plus tax. So only finance on a plan does this become comparable to other phones. And even then, it's still more expensive than other phones. Like, that's ridiculous. And like, even like I said, I got mine for $1,800, so mine was $500 off. So financed, my phone, I think it was around $900 after everything. So it ended up being really cheap. Like, it was cheaper than anything else to get, which is why I got it, because I literally just needed a phone. It was cheaper than anything else, and that's why I bought it. And I'm really glad that I did, because the direction that Samsung's going is amazing, because I was going to be returning the Red Magic 5G until Nubia ghosted me. So my mindset was, this phone's going back to get fixed. I need something for the time being. So I got the S20 Ultra because it was the cheapest option while being a flagship phone. Because I'm a basic white girl, so I need expensive, flashy things. And then I got it, and it was actually a really good phone. It had tons of bloatware, which is totally expected of any Samsung product. But it had significantly less than I was expecting, and it had less than the S10 Plus, which again was another one of those instances where I just needed a phone and it was cheap to finance because of a deal. So I got the S10 Plus on the same kind of whim. I got the S20 Ultra on the same kind of thing. Now, the S21 Ultra, I got that because of how good this was. I gotta say, I'm turned into kind of a little Samsung fanboy here, because the direction they're going is kind of amazing. That being said, is it worth buying the phone? Is it worth it? Well, that's what I'm going to get into with the camera and try and justify the camera. If you want a single device that does everything at a slightly better than average level, then yes, absolutely, 100%, go buy it. They're like high recommendations to go buy this. If you don't like Google and you don't want Apple, yes, buy it. If you don't like Apple but you don't want to switch to Google, then yes, buy it. Like, it literally is the perfect alternative to a regular Android phone or an iPhone. It's right in the middle between both of them. And what I mean by that is the Samsung Messages has RCS support. With a super sketchy deal between Bell and Canada and Samsung, they essentially made it so that RCS can only be used on Samsung devices or the Google Pixel. And they're not cross-platform. So I can't message someone with a Google Pixel using RCS. I can only message another Samsung person who has a Samsung phone that is Android 9 or newer that's compatible with Samsung Messages with RCS. So in that sense, it has its own version of iMessage. That's what that is. It's a texting app that has a Wi-Fi capability function where you can send videos and everything completely uncompressed, but only to other Samsung people running the same texting app. So that's why I end up using Signal, at least for now. I'm looking into some other ones, because that has chat function. You can send videos and everything without compression, plus the entire thing is completely encrypted, so it has that added benefit of security on top of it. But that's not what we're getting into. RCS is another great alternative, but again, because Bell kind of messed up the entire thing, and there's super sketchy things going across all of Canada where other carriers can't talk to other carriers. So for instance, Bell customers or Telus customers who both have Pixels, they have issues trying to communicate with each other because they're on different carriers, even though they both have the same phone, same software version, and they're both using RCS. It's just a complete mess. And because of how messy RCS is right now in Canada, I don't even consider that to be a solution to iMessage. Like, it is absolutely terrible. It's not even worth getting your hopes up for, because honestly, at the rate where Google kills things, it's probably just going to get washed under the rug instead of trying to fix it. At least that's what they did with Hangouts. Hangouts used to be amazing. It was like the perfect texting app, and then you also had messaging and everything. You could use it on the computer. It was flawless. And then what did they do? They removed SMS to make it a chat-only app, which was terrible. And then what did they do? They basically made it Hangouts for Business, where it's now fighting against Microsoft Teams. Which, again, like, why? Like, they completely take out the consumer from it. So, like, Google is going in a direction that's primarily after businesses, where this phone is going after consumers. Because, like I said, the bloatware is becoming less and less every update. The camera, absolutely unbelievable. The sensor, made by Samsung. So they're now making their own sensors because there were no options out there that met the expectations that they wanted to deliver. The phone has both forward and backward wireless charging, so you can wirelessly charge the phone, and the way this case works is receiving power from the phone with reverse wireless charging. So the phone is emitting the power to the case to illuminate it. And it still has wireless pass-through. So even with this case on here, we can put another wireless charging device. I don't have one on me, but if I did, I could put another one on top of this, and it will start charging that. So if I had the headphones or something, I could put it there. If I had another phone, I could put it there, which is a great feature because you can plug one phone in. You could literally have another one laying over top, and you can charge both of your phones off of one cable overnight if you wanted to do that. Or if you're on the go, you can charge your headphones. Like, I love that feature, having reverse wireless charging. I use it all the time. The zoom lens is totally a gimmick. Like, at full zoom, it's basically completely unusable photos. It's not worth using. Like, the 10 times zoom, that's it. Just really don't go much further than that. Like, maybe 20, 30 is a digital crop after that, like 30 times zoom. So the 100 times is 100 times crop on the 10 times zoom, which I believe is a 48 megapixel sensor. And then you have the 108 megapixel sensor, you have a depth sensor, and then you have the 12 megapixel wide angle. All around, it's a really good setup. And the wide angle on that thing is an absolute joke. That one right there, I don't even know what the wide angle is, but that one is actually worse than this one. Like, the wide angle on that is so novelty, it's not even worth using. Like, it's like the same as like a GoPro Hero like 3. Whereas this would be, you know, somewhat similar to like a Hero 5, 6 in that era. And then the wide angle on this is as good as my Hero 7 Black. I haven't tried an 8 or a 9, but this and my GoPro side by side, flawless. Like, I rarely use the GoPro if I need wide angle shots because this is in my pocket ready to go. Like, we can just pick this up, tap, swipe, boom, done. I can't even get my GoPro to turn on that fast. So right now, like, GoPro style video or whatever, like where you need a wide angle shot, like not, you know, like sports camera stuff, but like, who the hell am I kidding? Sports. I threw my back out shoveling the steps the other day. Activity is not my forte. With all of this being said, You also have full pro control on the camera. It shoots 8K video, HDR video, which even most cameras, you can't do that. So that's a feature that's above my Panasonic mirrorless camera. Like I spent $2,000 just on that body alone, and then another grand on the lens, like $3,000 on that camera. And I can't shoot HDR video, and this $2,000 phone can, as well as edit it on the phone and then upload it to wherever you want to put it on the phone. When you're looking at it as an ease of access aspect where you want to take something that's really good, but then also have the ease of access of doing everything on the phone, like editing, cutting, splicing, everything like that you want. You can do it on the phone and then upload from the phone to whatever source you want, like Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, TikTok, Snapchat. I don't know. I don't social media, so like I don't understand how all this works. But if you wanted to do that, the option is there, which makes this a very viable product because you're getting significantly more to produce. Whereas everyone's gonna be like, okay, yeah, so this is a cell phone video. The difference in quality between this and something else out there makes it where it's worth the price. I'm still not sold on saying that this is worth how much it cost because it is absurdly expensive. If you take into consideration the multi-device replacement where you're getting a phone, you're getting a game console. It has a Snapdragon 865 in it. Really good graphics. It has 120 Hz refresh rate display. Like you have to keep it at 1080p to get that refresh rate. And there's also 1440p, even in 720p. And if you change the DPI to 512, which I think I've shown in a different video, you get the same screen real estate as the 1440p. With some tweaks, you can get over 2 days of battery life. And that's normal use. Like I'm answering tons of comments on YouTube. I'm actively going on XDA, Telegram, answering text messages whenever I actually remember to check those. Lots of TikTok. I've been watching a lot of TikTok. Actively checking the Discord. Tons of pictures of basically everything that I'm doing. And I was also using this phone to record basically every video that I made of that phone. I was using this phone as the thing that I record on because it's so convenient. Like right now I am using the S21 Ultra because it was the most convenient thing that I had at the time to try and record. I mean, I could have used that one. We know exactly how the audio sounds on that one if you've watched any of the car videos, and I tried to make that video about my 89 GLI, and like the audio is just absolutely horrendous because the microphones on that phone are just brutal. So we're just grabbing this, great choice. But again, like just double tap the screen, swipe, and then if we want wide angle or whatever, we just click wide angle and we're already there, ready to go. I'm going to switch over to video, wide angle, boom, ready to go, GoPro mode. Like, you can literally get up and start recording faster than you could with a GoPro in resolutions that are higher than a GoPro, frame rates that are faster than the GoPro. Again, the convenience of being able to edit everything on the phone if you needed to. Just getting back to what we were getting into about this being like a multiple device replacement, it's a pretty good camera. So if you're not huge into photography, but you want to get into it, it has full manual control. So you can treat this just like a mirrorless camera, but you can't change the lenses, but you do have 3 options, which is going to be very acceptable to what you would have with a kit lens. So you could go buy a mirrorless or a DSLR with a kit lens, and you're still looking at somewhere around like $600 to $800 Canadian. Like that's like an average price for a pretty decent camera, like a Canon M50 or something, or even like a used GH4 or something in that ballpark. Like they'd be around the same price. But again, those cameras, you're locked at like 1080p to 4K resolution. This shoots 8K with HDR, so you have a much wider versatility here in terms of cropping, because recording in those resolutions is essentially stupid. It's all about the image quality, not the size. Like the actual physical size of the video really doesn't matter, but shooting in 8K means that you can crop down actually exactly 16 times into 1080p and have a 1080p clip, which gives you a huge versatility in terms of editing. You even crop down into a 4K video and then compress it into 1080 if you wanted. And then you have a much denser video, so it's a lot sharper if that's what you wanted to go for, while still being able to crop things, which means that you can be quicker because you don't have to frame perfectly when you shoot. So if I, for whatever reason, wanted to shoot a video and just quickly wanted to shoot, let's say we are at 8K right now, and I'm shooting right now, and I forgot to rotate my phone. Right now, the space at the top is not needed, and the space at the bottom is not needed. So I could actually crop this to 16:9 or like a 2:4 crop or something if I wanted to make something cinematic. And it being 8K resolution, it really doesn't matter if we're getting rid of roughly 2/5 of the screen. because the center section is still going to be more than enough resolution to have a 4K clip if we stretch it just a little bit, or if we wanted to compress that raw resolution down to 1080p to have a higher pixel density. So even then, like, you could hold your phone sideways, have the thing wrong, you forgot to rotate your phone, but if you're recording at 8K, boom, easy recoverable 1080p video, because it doesn't matter the resolution if the sensor is garbage. And this is a really good sensor. So again, camera, if you're looking for a camera where you want to start out, you want to start getting into photography, like this is a good thing to recommend for someone who's starting out with photography. It really, really is. There's timers, you can do long exposure photos, you can zoom in, obviously, you have your limitations there, but it does have it. You can play with high ISO pictures by taking multiple ones at high ISO and then combine them all together to try and remove some of the grain. You have your wide angle functions for versatility for like action shots or whatever, and then you have 108 megapixel just to mess around with everything else. It's a great starter camera. So right there, $600 to $800 for a starter camera accounted for. And if you're financing one of these phones, you save $1,100. So right there, the phone is $1,200. And then comparing to this difference in terms of phones that are similar to this, that's right, Nubia Red Magic 5G. That's right in the same ballpark for how much the price difference would be. It's the same processor, same video, same amount of RAM. They're both 12 gigs of RAM. That one is 256 gigabytes of storage. This one is 128 because that's the only one that Bell offered, but it does have expandable storage. That does not. So you can upgrade the storage in this, especially if you're going to be making 8K videos or if you're going to be shooting at 108 megapixel. It supports up to 2 terabyte micro SD cards when those ever exist, which is absolutely insane amount of storage. One of the things that Samsung does better than pretty much anyone else except for Apple is the backups. They have a full system backup. You can back up all of your apps, MMS messages, everything in their backup. You can't do that with Google. You can't do that with basically any other Android phone to a level that they can, which again is why this is more of like an anti-Google area, because they've also started to partner with Microsoft where you get a discount on OneDrive if you use the Samsung backup. So you get 10 gigs of storage instead of the free 5 gigs, so you end up getting 15 for free to store all of your backups and everything, which is right in par with iCloud, except the difference is you can just delete your backups whenever you want and just make a new one. You don't have to keep repeating. That means that you have to have a full 15 gigabytes of apps, MMS messages, call history, text messages, all of your settings and everything for the phone itself. So the free storage that you get with this is more than enough than you will ever need for your backup, because all of your pictures, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you have unlimited storage on pictures already. Like Amazon Drive, it exists, you have unlimited pictures. And then I think it was either 5 or 15 gigabytes of video. I think it's 5 gigabytes of video storage. But again, micro SD card, you could put all of your videos on the micro SD card, and then if you ever need to wipe your phone, just back up to OneDrive through the Samsung backup thing. All of your information is saved on OneDrive for free. You have all of your photos stored on Amazon Drive if you wanted to use that. If not, just leave them on the SD card, and all the videos are on the SD card. And then when you wipe your phone after a system update or anything like that, just pop your card out and you're good to go. But again, camera, game console, right there. If you're going to be buying an entry-level camera, and if you want to buy some like a cheaper Android game console, like the Nubia Red Magic 5G or like a used ROG phone or something, you're getting really good specs, and you're getting them in combination with a really good camera. So if you like photography, if you like cinematography, if you like gaming, that just hit all 3 marks. That justified the price right there. And you have a phone where you can do everything on it. And that's where I'm placing this phone, is if you're going to be buying multiple things to get started somewhere, so you want to get into photography, you want to start doing stuff, if you want to have, a little bit of gaming on the go, something like that, and you just want to have a phone that works and you don't have to mess with everything right out of the box, and maybe you don't want an iPhone, or you don't want to go with something completely filled in the Google infrastructure, and maybe on a business side, you have more interest in Microsoft Office or Microsoft OneDrive, any of those aspects where Samsung is now starting to partner with Microsoft and things. So with that being said, S21 Ultra. It's one of the best phones I've ever used. And if the S21 Ultra didn't come out, I wouldn't even have considered replacing it with anything else. So I hope that helps anybody who may have been interested in looking at one of these, or you're currently looking at buying one right now. If you're just looking for a good gaming phone
get the Nubia Red Magic 5G. You have to do a lot of tweaks to make that into a stable phone for gaming. If you want a phone with a really good camera, as well as manual control and everything, so you can get started, the Xiaomi Mi 10. But if you want both of those combined, as well as having a really good experience and a very tightly sealed ecosystem where the fitment of the case to the camera fits how polished the operating system is on this and how well everything works, not to mention the tweaks and everything that you can do to save an absurd amount of battery life that you can't do on most phones, I honestly can't recommend this one enough. So I hope you found something useful here. Leave a comment down below if there's anything that you thought I could have touched on, or if you have a different opinion on anything here. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike the video if that's how you felt. That's also cool. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel, you can also join the members program, where you'll get exclusive access to all inside information about what I'm currently working on that's not being posted anywhere else until it's finally ready to be publicly released. Or don't do any of it. I'm not telling you what to do.